Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Metaphysical Mindset. I am your host, Elisha Mancini-Caster, and tonight our co-host Scott Nash will be joining us. Hi, Scott.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Okay, good. We are going to move into the energy update. It is May 17th. And before I turn it over to you, Scott, I'm just going to talk for a second about where we are. We just got out of Mercury being in retrograde, and everyone knows that that energy always brings up our past and those unhealed wounds, and sometimes things that we haven't even thought about in a long time. Things from our past tend to kind of creep up into the present moment. And so I know it's been a heavy time for a lot of people, including myself. And we're going to talk a little bit about where we are now. We're a couple days, I think we went direct on Sunday, and everything feels like it's really settling. So let's kind of jump in from there. Do you want to talk first, Scott?
Well, the energy has just been really crazy for me the last couple of weeks where even the last podcast that we did, it was Mercury was in retrograde, nothing was working right. All of our things, my computer crashed halfway through the podcast and all those things, but today everything went smooth and everything's up and running. So I would say that's a good sign. And I never really have problems with Mercury retrograde. I really don't even give it a second thought, but it was there. But I will say, I think you're spot on with your intro there. A time for healing really has come up. And I'm the type of person who, well, let me just put it this way. So I've been through a lot, and I went to see a psychologist one time, right? And like one of the questions that they ask you is, tell me a fun time from your childhood, right? And I honestly could not remember one thing, not even one thing. The only thing I could remember is one day getting picked up from school by my mom, and she had like a Matchbox car for me or something. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing. And I know that we had tons of fun times with my brothers and sisters. We went on vacations every year and all those things, but just there were some other things that I guess I just didn't want to deal with. So I just never thought about how things really impacted me. I think about how things impact others, but not how they impacted me. And I did that by just never thinking about it, shoving everything in the back like nothing matters there, nothing impacts me. And so slowly but surely I've been digging these things out and, remembering things here and there. And really strange because I know a lot of people are going through healing right now, and it just seems like, man, it's the time and stuff's just coming out. But my brother was texting with me, and we we ended up getting separated from an event, and so then he went to a different school and things, and he wasn't around for when I went to high school. So he was like 2 grades ahead of me in school. And so I had always been counting on him, to be there in high school when I went. I'd be like, oh, that's going to be cool. I'll have my big brother there, all this stuff. Well, anyways, he was asking me if I remembered some kids on the street where we grew up in Detroit. And I did remember some of the people he was talking about and some kids down the street and stuff. And then he said to me, and maybe he's healing too from this, just thinking about these things. He was saying those are like the best times he had in his whole life was hanging out with me. And like when he got taken away, it was kind of like he lost his best friend. And so I started thinking about that, and I just started crying because I just realized that is exactly the feeling that I had too. It was just a horrible feeling, like, and I blamed myself for a lot of it. And so it was just like him saying that, it just meant $1 million to me, it just meant everything. And so it brought up those things and started getting me thinking again and actually it was there and it needed to be released and it came out. And I think I mean, it was a surprise. Okay. Cause my brother and I don't talk about feelings and stuff very often like that. And so just out of the blue for him to start texting me and tell me how good of a friend he always thought of me as and all that, it just meant a lot to me. And then it brought up those feelings that I didn't realize that I had buried and, how it actually impacted me. And so being able to release that and think about those things, I mean, that's what needs to happen to heal. Because, I mean, we were talking a little bit the other day about it. It's like, you shove all these, when you do that, when you shove all these things away, it just so you don't have to think about them, you are basically hiding all your feelings and making it where you can't feel anymore. It's just events and events and events, and those feelings go away, and that takes away your empathy for other people to be able to understand what they're going through, because to you it's like, oh, I don't have that I don't have that feeling, or I don't know how that feels to be in that, and it impacts them, but you don't really feel it the way that some people can pick up on what other people are going through and really, feel it in your body the same way. So I would just say there's a lot of healing going on right now, and I think a lot of things are going to come up for people, and it's good to face those things and get rid of them once and for all. Once I had forgotten all about all that, but it's somewhere deep in there, and it's causing issues of some kind for me. At the very least, it's making it where I don't have that full empathy that I would like to have, you know, and that's also goes along with mediumship and all those things. Cause for me, it's all about feeling. Like I just know things and I feel things, but if you don't know what different feelings feel like, it's hard to interpret sometimes. So I would just say face those things as they come up. If something comes up, I mean, you might say, wow, that's a coincidence. I wasn't expecting this. This just popped up. And just go ahead and look at it for a bit and, deal with it. It might make you cry for a day or two, but, then you'll get it out and it'll be gone, and more things will open up, because I'm looking forward to remembering all those fun times.
So let me put a frame around what you were talking about in regards to how we hold our memories for those people that aren't aware. When we have memories from our past, they're all held in our body. And a lot of times when we block out parts of our childhood, which we all do, we not only lose the negative memory, we block that, but we also lose all of the good memories that happen in that time period. So you were referencing that, and that's why healing is so wonderful, because we go back, we remember the event or circumstance that was negative, and then we can tap into the feelings that we have about them, and we can process those feelings and understand how they're affecting us now. Those emotions and feelings are affecting our lives currently, our behaviors, how we operate at our full potential, or whether we do. And then once we process them and look at them, like you were saying, then those other memories that happen in that time frame kind of get released, and it brings back a lot of memories that are good as well. In my life, it was just the same thing. I think the energy with Mercury being retrograde was definitely bringing up a lot of childhood memories from my past. I was definitely very young and just was having these memories. They just surface all of a sudden. They're there, and I can see how the feelings I was having at that young age would affect my life now. And I think as we're out of retrograde now, it is so good to process what had come up for you and let that block be removed. And now I feel like, since I worked through it, I feel like my schedule opened wide up, because, Mercury being retrograde definitely takes time, and it warps it, almost bends it in on itself, makes you feel like you have none. Everyone starts to feel overwhelmed, and I feel like my schedule just opened up, and I can see clearly, And I feel like it's a new beginning. And so, for those of us that were able to take the time to process those emotions and we're aware of that, that is probably how you're feeling now. And for some people that maybe didn't have the time to process those emotions or just didn't want to make the time or was kind of still hiding from them, which happens, there's probably now a feeling of trying to catch up. So there's like a feeling of, I need to catch up now with the things that I've just been so busy. I haven't been able to do anything. Oh my gosh, I need to catch up. So I've talked to a few people that have said that, and it was my hunch. And yeah, that's kind of where I think that they're at now. So you're probably in one of those two places right now. And that's okay.
Well, that's interesting because like that's kind of how that's a good way to put how I felt for the past 2 weeks or more. Like just that I'm behind and I need to catch up. And there's just so much stuff going on I can't get my arms around everything. But but I will also say the other thing that you said about a new beginning, that is what it feels like. That is exactly what it feels like. Oh, I got tingles all over my body right now. It's like a new beginning, a new exciting, happy beginning is the energy that I feel. Like it's like a new day, a dawn's rising, and it's going to be just beautiful. So I'm looking forward to see where everything goes.
Gosh, healing is great. It can get addicting, but it's good to know. And it's nice to flow with healing when the energy is supporting us into the awareness of it. So Mercury being retrograde, not that every Mercury retrograde means you're going to go through some big healing. Definitely not. Sometimes I just kind of float through them and support other people because my life is balanced and calm and I'm just not working through anything at that time. And that is totally normal. Some people I'm sure have been feeling that way, although I haven't talked to anybody that has felt that way. I feel like everybody's been in the weeds really trying to understand what's going on and process the memories that they're having. So it's definitely in the air right now for sure. But we were also talking about the internet because I know communication, things with electronics tend to get a little sketchy during this time. And my internet was out for a few days, and I was talking to someone on a Zoom call today, and she said, "You're the third person that has told me that just recently." And I was talking to Coach Tosh a few days ago. She said, "My internet's been out too." So I thought, well, it's definitely in the air, and it's definitely a time for misunderstandings almost. There's a lot of communication breakdowns happening when Mercury's retrograde. So I would say right now, really enjoy the settled feeling you're having, if that's what you're having, and use that energy that you feel just broke open to propel you and motivate you and allow you to step into those things that you used to be afraid of doing.
That's how I feel too, right? Just enjoy it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.